If you're getting into design and you're trying to get a job, a great way to do that is through having a deck that you can present inside of your interviews. Now, these decks should pretty much just be a walkthrough of a case study or a deeper dive of your case study that you already have on your portfolio. But I think the best way to do those is not through like Google Slides, but instead through Figma. This is part of a design talk that I do. And basically all of this, animated content and everything like that is all done inside of Figma through Smart Animate. And these are really easy things to do. And it's actually how I do all of my content as well. So over here, you can see that this is a Smart Animate thing that I've actually posted. I've used this in a video as well. And so that's what we're going to recreate here. Is I'm just going to walk you through an easy way on how to create great graphics that are motion graphics that you could use, to go make content or to use inside of a presentation deck that you're going to be presenting either to a stakeholder or to a potential person that's going to be hiring you or anything like that. First off, we need to decide our frame. So if you're doing a deck, then it should be 1920 by 1080. So this is going to make it so that they can view it from their computer pretty easily. If it's a phone like a reel or a TikTok that you're going to be making, then you'll want to do 1080 by 1920. So pretty much the same thing, just a invert of the two. And if you've done any prototyping, then you should probably understand roughly how to do this. But it's one of those things that until you see it, you might not think to do it, right? And so that's why I've been making this video. So let's just start here. So let's say that we want to cycle through all the different steps in the agile product development cycle. Agile product development is something like this, where basically you start with a planning phase, you design, test, deploy, review, and then it all starts over again. So we're going to basically remake this graphic and show all of the steps of an agile product development cycle. First off, we need to label our thing as such. Agile product development. I'm going to put, let's do Clash display. Oh no, let's do obviously. Obviously, it's obviously. Agile product development. There you go. Little auto-tune for you. Okay, so first we're going to start with the planning phase. So first we plan. Let's get an icon for that. So I'm going to use feather icons for that. And let's see, light bulb. Yeah, let's just do lightning. That'll work. That's the beginning of everything, is to plan. Paste that in. Put an auto layout on that. Bring this down to like 24 pixels. We'll box it in with a, yeah, I mean, it's lightning, so let's start with yellow. Yeah, like 10 pixels, 10%, sorry. Oh yeah, that's looking really good. First, we plan. So I think let's just make the graphic, because that's how I do my content, is I first start by making the graphic, the end result. Then we're going to go backwards to make the rest of the slide. So we first are planning. Now we're going to design. Let's go ahead and grab an icon. I'm going to grab the pen icon for that. It's 103. Perfect. Let's make this a green. Perfect. So first we plan, then we design, then we test. Is there like a test tube? Test? Here we go. That'll work. Kind of like a share icon, you know what I mean? Okay. Let's see. That feels like a good test, right? Test color. Deploy. Let's just call this build, you know? Purple. Yep. put that on as code. Just make sure these colors are accessible. We've got to probably bring this a little bit brighter on this purple. Okay. So we plan, design, test, build, and then we review. Let's get an icon for that. A magnifying glass, probably. Yeah. All right. So this is the Agile product development cycle. So now the step is to figure out how to animate this properly. So, we have this idea of like this cycle, right? So we definitely want to build it into that, but it probably wouldn't look too good for now to have it like that. We need to first present like the steps first and then bring it back to the plan, right? So although this is like cycled in a circle like this, it's probably not going to look very good if we animate it like that. We want to start by, showing one at a time to be able to like, if this is a deck, you want to talk about planning and the steps that go into that. You want to talk about design and the steps that go into that, right? So, and then from there, you can kind of like zoom it out and show it in this circle, right? So with that in mind, let's go ahead and do that. So this is the end result, right? So, but first we need to bump this out so that way the review doesn't show, right? We'll fade that down, we'll move it. So it's still there, right? It still needs to be there. And it's actually best if you name your layers before you start doing this. So I'm gonna go really quickly and rename those. Press Command or Control R. We'll call this review. We'll call this build. Test. This is the really key part of this whole thing is they have to be the same name on both sides of the frame. So like this is frame 1, this is frame 2. Both frames need the elements inside that you want to have animate need to be the same name. Once it breaks, it's going to really mess everything up and it won't animate actually. So I'm going to call all of this overall, right? So you can always test to make sure that they're the same names by hovering. You see as I hover here, over here it's starting to highlight. You see, highlight, highlight. I'm going to just grab design and it's only highlighting that. If I just grab test, it's only highlighting that, right? If I were to rename this test to like test blah, 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 it disconnects, right? So it's still grabbing the plan and the design, but it's not highlighting the test anymore because I've renamed this test to something random. But now I undid that and it's back to test. So perfect. So let's get back to what I was showing you earlier. So duplicate this again. I'm going to go ahead and center this. I'm just holding Alt while I do this. That way it centers it to the screen. You might not have to do that, but I'm going to do that here. And then I'm going to grab this build and I'm going to press 0, 0, and it's going to turn it to hidden. Okay, duplicate this. Do it again. Hold Alt, drag over. You're going to need to drag it till you get to like right here. That way it stays center, right? Okay. Duplicate it again. Okay. Bring it out. 0, 0. Perfect. Okay. So we've got every step, right? We're going to show the plan. Then we're going to show the design. We're going to show the test. We're going to show the build, then review. Perfect. So press Shift E. And now we're in prototype tab. You could always do that by just tapping over here as well. And I'm going to, anytime I click anywhere on the screen, I'm just going to move that over. Make sure that you change this instant to Smart Animate. And I also like to switch this ease out to gentle. It makes it just so that it's like a nicer animation. So I'm going to do the same. And now that I've set those presets, it's going to automatically be Smart Animate set to gentle. So you just need to do it once and the rest works. Now press Shift Space and let's see how this looks. Design, test, build, review. Perfect. Crowd goes wild. Just realize that we need to make a entry state. So I'm going to slide this over and I'm going to press 00, I'm going to move this here. I'm going to have this be the flow starting point. So now let's look what this looks like. Shoom, 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 shoom. Perfect. You know what though? This is like a starting, so I'm going to actually center it, and I'm going to slide it down. Bring that back to 00. Perfect. Cool. You know what though? I do also want to highlight the current stage too, right? So maybe we actually do this route where we kind of center it based on the design. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of these, and I'm going to press Control or Command / and I'm going to do remove auto layout. Perfect. And then now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just hold Control and slide it over. Center it. Hold Control, slide it over. So see, we're centering it upon the one that is new, right? So basically, it's all like sliding out as if it's like kind of like an older thing, right? So here, boom, boom, boom. See, so it's like it's always going to be in the center point. We've got the current state or current stage of agile product development, right? And then now I think it's perfect time to zoom it back out and say, you know, now, but then it goes backwards and it restarts, right? So go ahead and grab all of these again. I'm going to group them together. Group them together, center it, and then, yeah, now we drag this. Okay, we already set a point, so let's see. Oh, why is that animated so weird? Oh, because I left the group here. So I'm going to ungroup this. Ungroup that. Here we go. Boom. Maybe to even emphasize our point even further, we can center it again as well. So, or sorry, scale it down just a little bit. So there you go. This is going to emphasize the point even more. Boom. You see that? Shoom. Okay. Maybe we can even like auto layout that again and bunch it up closer. Let's see how that feels. Ooh, that's really good. Yeah. Cool. So now that we're here at the review stage, well, we need to have a little arrow kind of animate back to the plan, right? Kind of need to go like that with it. So I'm going to point an arrow at it. I'm going to put this at like white for now. We'll size this up if we need to later. I'm going to press that. Okay, cool. So now it's actually going to look really good if we put a little gradient on this as well. Put this at white and put it at 0. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Maybe this could actually be yellow. Maybe this should, yeah, this probably should be yellow, huh? Ooh, maybe this is pink. Still fade that to 0 though. Yeah, that looks so cool, right? So maybe we actually, yeah, that looks great. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that because that's like the next frame, right? This frame is coming from here. It's zooming out, and it's going to like have this animate in, right? As we do that. So we actually need to, actually before I duplicate that, I'm going to put this into a frame. It's got to be a frame. So Command or Control Alt G, and then press this button to size it to like the edges. See, before it wasn't, now it is. And then make sure that it's clipped content. So that's it. That's all we need to do for now. Well, rename it to arrow container. Now we can duplicate it. And what we want to do is we want to like make this shrink down, right, and kind of get cropped. So we're going to hold Control. We're going to slide this all the way over. Slide it all the way over. Perfect. Okay. So let's just see how that looks. As I was holding Control there, it basically makes it where it sizes the frame without affecting the contents inside. So that looks really cool. But you see it kind of like awkwardly scales out that way too. So I'm going to actually size this. And you know what? I'll move it all the way over here. There you go. I'm holding control, just a reminder. That looks great. Okay, we need to size it even more, just a slight bit more. Oh yeah, that looks awesome. We should probably also animate the arrow itself, right? So I'm going to press enter to grab the arrow that's inside, and we're gonna like actually move it over, and I'm gonna fade it down to 00. Ooh, look at that. Yeah. Maybe we also rotate it just a little bit. Maybe now that we rotated it, it's still gonna look, we don't need to move it over too much. Ooh, there we go. Bing. Heck yeah. Okay. So we've got an arrow pointing back to plan, but we probably want to zoom back into plan a little bit, right? Because when you're talking and you're explaining your keynote at this point, you're going to want to be like, and then we go back to planning stage and we start all over again. So with that, we should probably grab all of this, press the K key, and we're going to scale this back out like this. And we're going to move back to plan so that we're here. And then maybe we, while we're at it, we fade these guys out down to like 20%. Let's see how that feels. Nice, right? Does that look good or what? Shoom. Maybe we scaled it too much though. So I'm going to grab this and grab this, press the K, size it down. Yeah, there you go. So review is still in view. It's just focused on plan, right? Yes. That looks really snazzy. I'm going to go use that for content. So yeah, you know, you could continue on using this idea, but basically that's how I do my presentation decks as well. And let me show you really quick my design talk that I do. I kind of have my notes of my script that I'm gonna that I talk through, but then also I've got my points, right? And I do each of those flows, like those specific flows, are a row on the whole deal. And sometimes whenever it's a really complex one that might change often, I actually bump it into a component and then animate the component that's inside. So you see here that I've got the like kind of a scroller, and then it turns into a video on each one. And as you go through it, it will play the video. Come on, play the dang video. Skipped over the next 2 years and then get to what I'm doing now, right? So that's kind of the gist of how this all works here. Yeah, and then you can use it in so many ways though, right? Like, and you can animate things back and forth. Like for instance, like, okay, let's go back really quick, and I want to add one more animation transition just to like kind of really show you the juice of how to work with this stuff, right? So let's say that as we pop into the plan, so maybe we started by walking through the idea of the agile product development cycle, right? We just walk through the steps that it takes, and then we're going to go deep dive into each one individually, right? So how do we do that? Well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to ungroup that. We're gonna actually animate this from this plan. We're gonna zoom into a yellow color, right? And we're going to transition into plan stage, right? So I'm going to make a little circle. Press the O key, put a little circle here, and we're going to make it fit seamlessly like right here. Perfect. So it like actually sits on top of that yellow lightning bolt, right? Okay. I'm going to move it also to the back as well by pressing the left bracket. So now it's actually sitting behind all of this stuff. You can't really tell, but it's sitting right behind it. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this, and then I'm going to grab that circle, and I'm going to scale it all the way out to like 100x. Scale it all the way out. Just make it fill like the entire space, right? Maybe it'll... Yeah, maybe we want to sit it at 10% opacity. That way it changes the shade, but it stays dark mode. And then we're going to scale this bad boy way big, right? And then we're going to fade everything out but the plan. 0, 0. We'll also, while we're at it, make these 0 and 0. And then we'll fade the arrow out. Let's look at that. So we got a plan, right? So let's just see how that looks. Whee! It's probably a little bit too jarring. You know why? It's because we have it go from 100% opacity to 10%. So it like flashes, right? So to undo that, we're going to need to go into here, grab the circle that's behind everything, and turn that to 10% opacity. There you go. Much less of a flash. But it still kind of is like, it's disconnected from the plan. And that's because it's sitting right on top of the lightning bolt now. But then over here, it goes to the center of the viewport. It should still sit right on the center point right here. So, which means that we need to scale this out holding Alt. There you go. Let's see how this feels. Yeah, that's cool. Very nice, very nice. Now, let's take this a step further. I'm going to duplicate this, Control D, and I'm going to press Shift X, and now it's only on the stroke, right? So there's like another, like it's going to like kind of shockwave. It's going to go boom, right? Maybe we go 10 pixels only though, like so it's like a really thin shockwave, boom, right? Cool. So we got ellipse 1, ellipse 2. I'm going to go paste it over here now, right? And it should be center pointed to the lightning bolt, the same spot where the lightning bolt is. Okay. And I'm going to probably actually, I'm gonna probably put it to a 0% opacity. So it's going to go from 0 to 100%. Let's see how that goes. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, it feels much more like a page transition than just like a fade, you know? You could even take it a step further and we'll actually make it way wider where it's starting point. And it's going to, actually here, we need to make it go like way big, like way out there. So what that's going to do is it's going to make it go faster than the, oh, that's too much. It's going to make it go faster than the circle itself. So it's going to be like much more shockwavy. There you go. Perfect. And now we're just going to fade content in, right? So like, let's just say like, you know, this is how I planned. Once you have all these auto layouts though, and they're like faded out, you really got to start like working with your keyboard a lot more when you're moving, because as you're moving, you'll like accidentally put it inside of the auto layout that's like sitting here with like the old design one, you know, which is definitely not ideal. So, so just start using your keyboard a lot more. I'm gonna go ahead and do this. I'll just like lower mipsum this, right? Perfect. Okay, cool. So this is how I planned, right? So it's sitting here, and we're gonna bump that in. We're gonna fade that from over here. All right, let's see. This is how I planned. Oh, that's so nice, right? And that's how you make a really awesome pitch deck. Let's start from the very top, and let's go from there. So fade in the plan. This is how I do the agile product development. I plan, I design, I test, I build, and then I review. And that leads me to some insights around the planning. And this is exactly how I started from that plan. You know what I mean? Like that's how you would be able to present all your stuff in really seamlessly using this tactic. And you're also, the really great thing is you're able to send a Figma link to anybody, right? And they're able to load it on any browser and even their phone. So they're able to access these very seamlessly, even more seamless than like a Google Drive link, right? Maybe you're using Google Slides, but you're not able to leverage all these transitions, especially if you're a designer, right? You can make these amazing transitions super easy by working with inside of Figma. So I hope you got something out of this. Definitely let me know if you use this on your own, and would love to see some more presentations from you guys.